This
Yeah,
means that you have been shadow banned. LinkedIn are pushing down your account for the time being.
this thing of the shadow bans, it's worse than actually closing or suspending your account because you don't know it's happening. If you notice that your impressions are very low suddenly and they didn't used to be like this, just go and visit this area that Dana spoke about.
Hello, everyone. Fran and I are going to talk today about the infamous LinkedIn algorithm. In last year and a half, I have generated more than 1.5 million impressions on LinkedIn. And I'm also a former data scientist, so algorithms are very close to my heart. So Fran and I are going to tell you everything we know about the algorithm and how to make sure you always get the maximum impressions possible from your post on LinkedIn.
Also, that those impressions count for something, that they convert into clients as a marketing strategist. And you know that this show is all about generating leads, booking clients. So that's what we care about. That's what you're going to get today. Making sure you're leveraging the algorithm and not caring about it, but leveraging it the right way so you can actually book clients at the end of the day.
That being said, we can't ignore the elephant in the room. If you're on social media, you care about distribution. So as Fran said, let's not obsess about the algorithm, but let's see how it actually works. So first things first, LinkedIn is unique in the sense that it's a business platform. It's a networking platform. This is exactly why the first degree connections you get on LinkedIn, your network, are way more important than any followers. The way that LinkedIn decides how to show a particular post is judging by how many reactions from your first degree connections a post gets. So for example, if you have 10,000 connections and only 2 of them react to the post you just published, then LinkedIn is going to think, oh, the people in this person's network don't really care about what they're posting right now, so they're just not going to distribute it. At the same time, if you have 200 connections and 50 of them, which as you can imagine is like 1/4 of your network, reacts to a post that you just published, LinkedIn is going to think that this is a crème de la crème of posts. So this is going to push it to the top of the feed for everyone to see. So this is in the very core of how LinkedIn decides to distribute posts. And this is unique for LinkedIn. And I don't think that it is actually present in any other social media platform. What do you think, Fran?
Yeah, so summing up this one, connections are more important than followers. They will be the first ones to see your post. It's first distributed to connections, specifically new connections in your network. So if you're actively adding connections, that will work in your favor. And if you're adding the right connections, because when you're creating the content, then you're making sure that this content is aimed. And when you know all about the hooks, you need to have a good hook. How can you have a good hook if you don't know what your audience cares about? So if your hook is touching the pain points, is actually addressing a problem that specific ICP that you're adding as a connection constantly has, then those people are going to resonate with that content and they're going to boost the delivery and the distribution of that content.
Really simple analogy here. You can't sell a steak to a vegan. So if your audience is full of vegans, and you sell in steak, then you will have very, very poor luck, my friend. But that being said, I clean my connections regularly, at least every 3 to 4 months. And every time I do it, I actually lose very few followers because these people have already unfollowed me, meaning I don't need them in my network. And every time I clean my connections, my impressions jump by between 20 and 50% sometimes. This is exactly how much this dead weight pushes down your impressions on LinkedIn.
Yeah. I do the same. I clean as much as I can, as often as I can. So that's another one. A lot of people are afraid of removing connections, but if they are inactive, if there's people aren't active on LinkedIn, they're not interacting with your content, and if they're not even your ideal client, then there's no point having them in your connections. They're just hurting the distribution because the algorithm in every platform, this is not unique to LinkedIn, will always look at the percentage of people who see your posts that will react or hover over them and give them any sign. So if there are people there who are not doing anything, like your mom's there, my mom's in my connections, but she engages with my content. I don't know why, but she does. That's probably you're probably better off having them follow you on Facebook or connect on Facebook. All right, next.
All right, number 2, don't post external links in your post, in the body of your post. No social media platform wants you to move people away from it. So if you're posting a link to your lead magnet, to your newsletter, to a video or anything like that, you should know that LinkedIn is just going to kill that post. You're going to get something between 10 times, 15 times less impressions than you usually get, simply because LinkedIn wants to keep the users inside the platform. So there are plenty of ways to go around this. We can get into this as well, but just don't post external links, any kind of links.
Yeah, and that's an interesting one because LinkedIn themselves have said that they don't punish those posts, but it's not true. We've observed the results. And obviously, you just need to understand what these platforms want. They want you on their platform consuming their advertising. So they don't want you to get out. So they will not boost or distribute further options for people to get out of the platform.
Yeah. Self-interest,
Yeah, a few alternatives you can explore is you will find it the link in the comments. You can use the lead magnet post idea saying ask for the link in the comments. There's many other ways you can do this, or just put the link in your profile link or featured section and direct them there.
Yeah, that's another option. Next one up, third one, is a very big one. Every social media platform cherishes consistency. And by consistency, I really mean spending as much time as possible on LinkedIn. Now, we're never going to advocate for that, but if you want your impressions to never drop, you should just try and post every day. Anytime you skip a day, you will see your impressions will drop and it will take them time to recover. Now, I'm not posting every day. I'm not advising you to do that. But if you're only really starting out and you really want to build your presence on LinkedIn, post every day, post even twice a day. I've been on LinkedIn for a year and a half, coming on to 2 years. So I don't care about this anymore. But I know that some people do. So the only way for your impressions to grow is just to never skip a day. And if your writing improves with time, so will your impressions. There's never really going to be a significant drop apart from some very, very minor fluctuations.
Yeah, you mentioned something very important there, Dana. When you post twice a day, and I was in this situation, I was afraid of posting twice a day. And now I don't, because I just don't want to add the weight to my shoulders. But honestly, a lot of people are afraid of this because and it will interrupt the distribution of your previous post. So try to separate them as much as possible. So put at least 6 hours between them. But don't worry about the previous post not being distributed to more people if you really want, because you will get more impressions at the end of the week. And that's where you should be looking at your weekly impressions. So the total impressions you're getting with all your publications, not just what one post will get you.
Yeah, to sum this up, even if a second post in the day starts stealing some reach from the first one and LinkedIn stops distributing the first one, if you sum them up together, you'll still probably get more reach for the 2 posts together rather than just the first one that went out. So in that case, if your goal is to really increase your presence, definitely post twice a day. Use LinkedIn like you would use X, for example.
Yeah. Another thing is spending time on LinkedIn, like Dana said, doesn't mean spending 2-3 hours engaging with other people's posts. And we'll talk about that. But you can spend those 2 hours sending DMs to your ideal clients, to people who have already engaged with your content. And those DMs are going to distribute your content as well. A lot of people don't realize, but if you are active in the DMs, then that person who you've been DMing with is going to see your publications straight away.
Yeah. LinkedIn's algorithm is really smart, by the way. It counts every type of interaction there is, really. And even if there is someone in your first degree connections and you've never ever commented on a post, but you read what they write on a daily basis or even on a weekly basis, LinkedIn is going to detect this as a signal to show you more of that. It's exactly the same with DMs. Like, for example, Fred and I used to DM a lot on LinkedIn about a year ago. And at some point, we just realized, like, why are we doing this to ourselves? And moved on to WhatsApp. But ever since that happened, and we're not exchanging any interactions on LinkedIn anymore, LinkedIn doesn't show me his posts. And before that, they used to be on top of the feed. Every time I would open the app, he would be right the first post that I would see. So yes, this is a very, very good point. If you want to spend time on LinkedIn, do it in the DMs.
Here's a little tip that I do. When I connect with someone that I know is my ICP, it's someone that I'm interested in eventually building up some relationship, and they're posting something that I have nothing to say, what I do is I do like or interact with the post somehow to make sure that I'm going to see another post of theirs later on.
Yeah, it's a good one, definitely. Next tip up is, we were talking about spending time on LinkedIn. So the same goes to actually people spending time on your post. This is something that signals to the algorithm that this post is relevant, this post is interesting, is popular. So some ways to trick that to happen is to post formats that increase dwell time. For example, really well-produced video, a really nicely designed carousel, even though if you are not a designer and you don't have a designer in your team, we wouldn't advise you to do that. Because the easiest way to do this is just to post something controversial, because people are going to start fighting in the comments. They're going to go back to the post, checking the comment section. And this is a very, very certain and proven recipe to make a post really, really explode. We had an amazing episode with a ghostwriter and copywriter, Adam Knorr. You can see it in the card somewhere up here, where he gave some amazing tips on how to write content that goes viral, considering that as a ghostwriter, this is what he does for a living. One of the tips that really stuck with me was, if you want to go viral and to get a lot of visibility on LinkedIn, omit all nuance. Write a post that has such a harsh and determined tone that people, like 50% of people are going to hate you, 50% are going to love you. It's going to cause a lot of traction in the comment section. This is going to blow your impressions up off the roof.
Yeah, I was actually talking about this yesterday. If you can get someone to hate you, you're going to get people to love you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a really good episode. I absolutely recommend anyone to watch it. It has got a lot of value in it. But talking about getting traction from a single post and spending dwell time, one of the best ways to do that is by creating a lead magnet post. So as we said before, you shouldn't post a link directly in the post. The way that this works on LinkedIn right now is you post a case study of something that you achieved for a client or for your business, and then you hype it up insanely. And then you say, if you want to get a copy of this playbook or something like this, comment some kind of a word in the comment section. And typically, these kind of posts get anywhere between 300 and 3,000 comments. As you can imagine, this explodes big time simply because so many people comment on this post. And
it's cringy. It's cringy, but it works.
Yeah, it's probably where marketing and ethics really start to clash against one another, because it's really cringy and it really works at the same time.
Yeah. Although I saw recently a post from Richard van der Blom, I don't know how seriously I would take it. I haven't seen the direct quote from LinkedIn, but he says that LinkedIn has claimed they want to start removing the effectiveness of these posts.
Yeah, this means changing the entire algorithm, so I don't see how this is going to work.
Yeah, I don't see either.
Yeah,
I see it's a bit impossible, but with generative AI, you can like say, like, for example, when it detects something like find the comments or comment this, they could, but I find it very, very, very hard to believe. And this has worked in every single social media platform I've seen so far.
Yeah, LinkedIn, they definitely do try to be unique in the way they do things, but I really don't think that they would conflict their own interest in such a way, because they have an interest of people spending time on lead magnets and following others on LinkedIn. So
yeah, they were very unique when they decided to bring in the video feed.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Now, when all of these tips, when you start trying them out, you shouldn't forget that at the end of the day, it all comes back to the basics, which is ideal client profile fit. How many of these people you have in your network? And hooks, and hooks. Anytime you think your hook is good enough, you should rework. It's probably not good enough.
Yeah.
I probably can't accentuate this anymore, but this is what will determine if you have the right people in your audience, whether they're going to click on see more or not. It's the hook.
Yeah. Explaining the hook. So it's basically the first sentence. It's what's going to make people stop scrolling and question if they should read more of your post. And if they click the see more, okay, that's already the first signal to the algorithm that there is some interest in it. So that's like, it's back to basics in advertisement and marketing. 80% of your efforts should be spent in the headline, in this case, the hooks. So yeah, and we mentioned, but then we skipped it, the videos, right? So the video feed is a separate algorithm altogether. This is kind of speculation, and it's from my observations and from my understanding of YouTube as well. YouTube has two separate algorithms for different audiences, two segments. They have the shorts and the long form videos. And on LinkedIn, I've seen very similar behavior. So you will see whatever videos show up in the video feed is completely different. It's a different audience. It's a different segment of people who are going to show up in your video feed than the ones that show up in your regular feed, right? So what I would advise here is, it's not that hard, but post at least one video per week, and at least you're like, add the video to whatever other post you're doing. You can just record yourself in a selfie camera for 30 seconds. And yes, there are very elaborate videos on LinkedIn, but it doesn't matter. I've seen some of these very simple videos getting picked up by the video feed. And if it does, it will just boost that one post, and you're just increasing your chances by a lot, because at the moment there's not a lot of video content on LinkedIn. And when they grab one, they actually distribute it like crazy. I've seen recently, remember I sent it to you, like someone had like 500,000 impressions with like 20 likes or something like this. It was crazy.
A client of mine got almost 1 million impressions on a single video.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem to have the reactions. They just distribute it very easily.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. Now, with all that being said about how to boost your impressions, how do you know if something is not clocking in? How do you know if something is not working out and your impressions are abnormally low? If you go to your profile and you click on resources, you'll see a couple of links that should have a green tick next to them. So one is LinkedIn Live, one is newsletter, and the last one is a follow link. Now, instead of a green tick, if you have I think it's an I button that says learn more, this means that you have been shadow banned. LinkedIn are pushing down your account for the time being, and there's usually some kind of offense when doing that. Either someone reported you, for example, you wrote something obnoxious under someone's post, or you posted something obnoxious, and it could be if you play with automation too much. So this is another thing. LinkedIn dislikes automation. You should be very careful when using third-party apps with LinkedIn, because, by the way, it is actually against their terms of use. It's a good idea to check those out, because if you use even something really innocent like Shield or Authored Up or something like that, or I don't want to continue listing names, but these are technically against the terms of use. You should be very careful when you use them, because if LinkedIn restricts your account, you've got no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah, and there's an important one on this thing of the shadow bans. It's worse than actually closing or suspending your account, because you don't know it's happening. So if you notice that your impressions are very low suddenly, and they didn't used to be like this, just go and visit this area that Dana spoke about, which is, it's in the analytics, right?
Yeah, it's underneath the analytics. It's called resources or something like that, but they constantly move it around.
So yeah, check this out. If there's not a check mark there in one of those, then you've been shadow banned and they're hurting and just send them a ticket, and this should help. We've been there, both of us. So
yeah, a couple of times. So it's not irreversible. There's nothing to worry about. You can just practice your copywriting skills until this is gone. And usually these shadow bans last about 30 days. And sometimes it's just a mistake. I think just recently, LinkedIn just straight out restricted, like, a banned quite a few profiles for their apparent reason. It's a very glitchy system, not gonna lie to you. We love it and we hate it at the same time, for this particular reason especially. So yeah, armed with all these tips, I hope that your impressions skyrocket, and happy posting.
Make sure you're following us or subscribed or whatever, so you can get the notified of the next video. And you help the algorithm gods on YouTube boost us up as well.
If you want to check out our collection of really, 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 really bad tips on how to use LinkedIn, how to get traction on LinkedIn, check our episodes going as well.
Just in
or
front
down
of
there.
you. Basically, bad advice not to follow.